Hi, Dave. Hi, Bev. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Deborah.
How are you?
Hanging in there.
Good. Good. See if Trish picks up. I think I'm going to get a glass of water. I'll be right back. Hi,
Okay.
Trish. Hi. I'm going to run and get a glass of water. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm back. Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Mute. I think we're muted. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be home.
Sorry, the bouncing of the ball will be court, and we don't know how to stop that.
I don't think you want to stop it.
Well, for the next 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes, yes.
He's just toy obsessed ever since Gracie passed, and he just won't stop. Crazy. Yes, I know. No, I'm up.
I'm going to mute us for a little bit.
Okay.
This has zero to do with active transportation or active, transportation, but just FYI, there have been 2 smoldering fires discovered in the elfin forest in the last week.
Oh, no.
Fortunately, neighbors noticed something was up, and they were, just little things that were burning. But anyway, just local news.
Dave, do you think it was people who are camped out in the forest?
Well, one of them was right in Rose's Grove. So that doesn't seem like a very good camping site. And the other was off in one of the other groves off the beaten path. That could have been a camping site. Interesting.
Was there much damage?
No, just a few square feet of smoldering ashes, but it's the whole idea.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, somebody noticed and told one of the neighbors, who hustled out with a bucket of water and put them out.
Wow. Okay.
He's on, you know, I guess I close the door.
We're gonna wait and see if a few more people show up. Wait a few more minutes.
Deborah, are you expecting anybody from the county or from
No.
SLOCAC to come tonight?
No, I'm not. No. There was hardly anybody at the Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting last week. No one from SLOCAG was there. Not very many of the members, the committee members of that group were there. I think it's the time of year, perhaps,
Everyone's trying to get their vacations done before Labor Day.
maybe.
But those guys only meet quarterly, so it's not like they have one a month that they have to schedule around.
Exactly. Exactly. And we're going to talk about that meeting because that's where I got this Caltrans information. The people who did show up were Caltrans. They had been asked to come to the meeting. And two women showed up from Caltrans. And we'll talk about that when we get going. Just gonna give it a couple more minutes, and then if nobody else shows up, we're gonna get going. Okay, let's get going. Well, the only committee member here is Trish and myself.
Can you put that on?
It's not much. Oh, and Jeff. I
Thank
think
you.
Jim will be on soon. So we have Trish, Jeff, Bartel, myself. And I think when Jim Hale is available, he's on a Zoom call right now. So I think he's going to jump on. But and then we have Dave and Bev and Jeff Krebs, who's coming in using his mobile phone. But they're not members of the committee, just to be clear. They're public speakers. Announcements. I don't have any announcements. Trish, do you have any announcements?
Nope, not tonight.
Okay. Does anybody else have an announcement they'd like to make? Other than what Dave said about the fires that were found at Elfin Forest, small fires. That was a good announcement, actually. Okay, do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda? we're just gonna roll on through this then. Recap of the meeting.
Actually, I didn't get to the computer quick enough.
Oh, okay, go
but
ahead.
I'll just mention the note that I sent you today, Deborah, and that was just, I looked at the links that are on the LOCAC news, and it has one that says OSOS gets grants for transportation study or something like that. And I saw in there that that study that they want to do they're going to do between Foothill and Rodman, it's named a build out vision. So it doesn't actually have anything to do with what's happening now, or that might happen in the next decade or two. So it just, it seems, what I said in my email was, it seems like the Public Works Traffic Department's vision needs to be aimed differently. So I just want to mention that. And then the other things that I looked at on that link, it's from the Paso Robles Daily News, and it talks about other places that are spending money on stuff. And excuse me. And it mentioned at Los Barros and Dale in Rio Grande, it says left turn and bike lanes, and they make a bunch of noise about the bike lanes, but it looks to me like it's a country road that maybe has a left turn lane need once in a while, but they're spending more than double the amount for that right now compared with what Public Works is going to get to do this build out study on Los Osos Valley Road. So it just seems like the money in the county is being used in odd ways. Also, I just wanted to comment, having to do with bicycles, is it mentions that they're going to upgrade 40 bike lockers at a cost of something like $6,000 a piece. And it's just interesting to me that encouraging people to ride bicycles actually costs the county or city or whoever $6,000, so the person can simply park their bicycle and not have it be vandalized before they get back from wherever they went. So it's just, it's a strange environment in terms of active transportation. That's all I had to say.
Thank you for that comment, Dave. Trish?
Yeah, it's actually Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, go ahead.
I just want to bring up a comment that I heard from the local community. I was talking with a friend this afternoon, and he asked me what I was doing, and I mentioned that I was a member of the transportation community, and he brought up a concern that maybe you all, we talked about it before and I just missed it, but he was talking about the parking for the ale house on Los Osos Valley Road, and how because the parking lot is so tiny that a lot of people are parking across the street there on Los Osos Valley Road, and then crossing the street after they've potentially had a few. And his concern was that there's for their safety when they're crossing that street there, that he thinks that that's an area that's where a possible pedestrian and car incident could certainly occur. And I hadn't thought about it before, but I think he has a good point. And so I'm just bringing that up to our committee so that we can pass that concern on when we get a little further down the road with this study that's going to take place, and potentially a better way to park cars in that area.
Thank you. Yes, that's, and I wonder if we shouldn't bring that up to the county now, but something to think about. Yeah.
Yep.
I hadn't really thought about that, but it makes you're absolutely right.
There's a
I
number
second-
of
I
people that are
second
parking
that.
across the street there and crossing, you know, across that whole Los Osos Valley Road. And it does pose a safety concern because there's just not enough parking in that lot for the number of people there. The, you know, place is doing really well
Yeah.
by all appearances.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda items then. A recap of meeting with the county planning. Well, I said meeting twice there. Trish was on this call with me, and we actually met with Corey Hahn, who's in the planning committee, the planning department for the county. We asked for Carrie Brown to participate because she was very involved in the creation of the Los Osos community plan, but she was not available. So we did talk to Corey, and I'm going to have Trish chime in here wherever she needs to, but we really just started with the Los Osos community plan. And I read to Corey from the plan where it says, pedestrian plan and active transportation plan, the county planning and building and public works departments should coordinate with the community to develop, incorporate, and implement a pedestrian plan and active transportation plan into this community plan. And I said, Corey, we want to do this. How do we get started? And Corey, I don't think anybody's asked him that question before. And we talked a little bit about, you know, what our priorities are, having a class 1 bike lane on Los Osos Valley Road and having a grid that would connect different parts of Los Osos. And he said, look, we're understaffed. We don't have enough people. And right now our priority is to get this Los Osos community plan approved by the Coastal Commission. And until that happens, we can't really do anything. And then it has to, we're waiting for the habitat conservation plan that comes through, I think it's Fish and Wildlife, that approves the habitat conservation plan. And he said, that will allow us to build things like sidewalks. And we already know that because the sidewalk that was to go in at Baywood Elementary School was stopped. Even though it was completely funded, it was stopped because of a snail. So without the habitat conservation plan approved, we can't move forward on any projects that might involve an endangered species. And he said, so these two things have to happen before we can really, you know, move forward on doing a plan that would be incorporated into the existing plan. Okay. But we did learn some things in this conversation with Corey. One of the things we learned is that when it comes to the endangered species, what allows us to build and take an area for a sidewalk or a bike path is a credit that was created somewhere else in a restored area. So first you have to restore an area, you get credits for that restoration, and then you use those credits when you're going and building something. Trish, you want to chime in?
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what he said. So we don't need to go through here, but we went kind of through about 6 or 7 pages and the Los Osos community plan right now. And on each of those pages, it talked about pedestrians and bikeways. And I think really for me, the real reason for this first meeting is to start building a very positive relationship with the planning department and get them involved from step 1 with us so that Corey knows exactly what we want to do. So if anything does come up that he hears about he can go ahead and say, well, Los Osos is looking at that. Let them be the beta site or let's get them involved. So I think it was a great meeting as far as relationship building for him to find out what our priorities are. That we understand that this is not something that's going to be done in the next 12 months. It's something that's going to take some time. And we came up with, what our next steps are going to be. And I'll let, Deborah talk about that. But we do have next steps and what we can do and how we can get this started.
Thanks, Trish. So I really started thinking, okay, so it's going to be critical for us to find areas to restore, but it seems logical to me that the elfin forest has already been restored and that we should have credits from that. Dave, do you know anything about that?
In regard to being used as mitigation for some other project, I have no idea. But I mean, the elfin forest wasn't really restored. It was preserved. But we've been working with the Fish and Wildlife forever, and so whatever has been done in there has been with the approval, the laboriously gained approval of Fish and Wildlife. And I think the county just doesn't want to bother with trying to get any further approvals because they've got the community plan and the habitat conservation plan sitting out there that somebody else is supposed to do something with. And so the county can just sit around and say, well, we can't do anything until that's approved. Now, I don't know where we go in order to get the community plan and the habitat conservation plan to be increased or to raise the priority of that by the Coastal Commission or Fish and Wildlife. But clearly at the Elfin Forest, we've got a couple projects that have been waiting since 2019. And the county keeps saying, well, we got to wait for those plans to be approved. And early on, they said, well, it would take longer if we tried to get it approved by appealing to the Fish and Wildlife than if we wait for those plans to be approved. But now it's been much longer than it probably would have taken to go to the federal agency. So somehow we've got to get some action going on with the approval of those plans.
Okay, David, and who are you talking to when you're having this conversation at the county?
Well, our connection to the county is through the Parks and Recreation Department. So we talked to Sean Cooper, who's the chief planner at the Parks and Recreation Department. But that would involve, I suppose, the El Morro Trail, because I think that belongs to Parks in some way. But as far as anything else is concerned, I guess it would be planning that would need to be taking action on it. But it's the whole county, Parks and everybody else that seem to be hanging around waiting for these other things to be approved. And as I said, I don't know, who is dragging their feet on getting things moved through Coastal Commission and the Fish and Wildlife, but things need to move.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll reach out to Sean Cooper. So this is what Corey told us. He said, we answer to the Board of Supervisors, and if they tell us to do something, then we're going to do it. So we know ultimately who we need to appeal to. In the moment, we have Bruce Gibson. I can't answer what will happen come January, but that's where we have to put some pressure in terms of moving things forward, because Dave is right. The county's not going to do anything unless they have this sort of direction from the Board of Supervisors. And here's my concern. If we were to have credits, whether they came from Elfin Forest or from some other location, that was set aside for habitat. We want those credits to stay, oh, it looks like Jeff dropped out. We want those credits to stay in Los Osos.
Right.
And I'm not familiar enough with how this works, but I would have a concern that they may want to use those credits at the Bob Jones Trail or some other location where they have plans. Because I don't imagine these credits are that easy to come by.
Well, and Deborah, he said that they were going to be working on the Broderson Trail, but he didn't say that those credits were staying in Los Osos either.
Right. So we need to dig down a little deeper on this and find out what happens when these credits are created and make sure that we corral them and keep them here for Los Osos and that they don't get used up somewhere else by some other large project. So that will be, you know, on our to-do list, no question. Dave, you had another comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I've never heard of this credit business, and I've read the Habitat Conservation Plan, and the way I read it, it simply says that the county is going to be able to make decisions that have to do with endangered species on their own. If the Habitat Conservation Plan is approved, and if they follow the directions in the Habitat Conservation Plan. So my understanding of the Habitat Conservation Plan is simply that if they approve it, it hands over some responsibility to our county and to the environmental people at our county, and then we don't have to deal with the Fish and Wildlife in order to get approval. So I don't know where Corey comes up with this exchange business. I've never heard of that before.
Okay,
It was
well,
the first time we had to.
yeah. So we're gonna explore this this topic a little bit more and get a better understanding. Perhaps this is what the county is putting in place for, oh dear, it just keeps bouncing out. So that they can track it. I don't know. Dave, did you want to make another comment, or did you just not put your hand down?
Sorry, I just didn't put it down. I thought you
Okay.
would put it down
All
for
right,
me.
Jeff, did you want to make a comment? Jeff's mobile. Jeff, did you want to make a comment? If you can. All right, I don't know if he can hear me. So we have some work there to do, but we're going to dig around a little bit. And so so we go from the immediate, from the local to and I started thinking about this. Okay, well, how far out do we go when we start talking about active transportation? And when I went to the Bicycle Advisory Committee last week, Caltrans was there, and it was the first time that Caltrans had shown up for one of their meetings. Very interesting. Two young women. One had been there for 1 month. One had been there for 1 week. And they were there to represent, you know, active transportation as far as Caltrans. And they were very, you know, very on the ball, very smart ladies, obviously new in their positions, but they provided a lot of information, which I have shared with you. I shared this with you not because it's relevant to Los Osos, because Caltrans is really about highways, and we don't have a highway going through Los Osos. But it shows where the state is going with their active transportation plan, and it's all about complete streets. And we've heard this term before, right? So if we look at what they've got written up, their director's policy statement, the DP 37, and then all these other supporting documents for Complete Streets Action Plan, et cetera, we can take from there, because this is where the county's going to get their plan and so forth. And then we have to figure out, how do we adapt that to our local community? Because we're not going to be able to build out this kind of complete streets concept in the same way that they are. The main reason is because this is all new stuff. So, or in the case of Caltrans, if they're improving Highway 1, well, then this has to be included as part of their Highway 1 improvement. Or if they're doing something, I think you've probably seen, if you've driven up to Atascadero on the 41, when you get into Atascadero, all of a sudden it just goes out really wide, and you have these huge bike lanes and buffer lanes and parking, and that's what they're talking about. This is the kind of complete streets concept. But that's not going to work in a local community like this. So we have to figure out how to design a plan that will fit our community and will can be incorporated into the community plan and be accepted by the county as part of their active transportation plan. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes.
So one of the things I didn't put on the agenda, and I should have, I think, is the regional active transportation plan. And I had forgotten about it. And when we were at the bicycle advisory committee, Josh Roberts with the county said, well, you know, we do have this regional plan. And I had to go and find it. And it's a SLOCOG plan. So it's not coming out of the county. It's not coming from the county staff. It's coming from SLOCOG. And if you recall our conversation last month, John D'Annunzio explained that SLOCOG here in San Luis Obispo County is unique in that it only is one county. Most council of governments incorporate many counties and are much larger. And so their focus is only on regional connectors. They don't really focus on the local area. And that is going to bring us right back to the study that Dave brought up in his comments, which is the Los Osos Corridor Plan. The study has been funded from Foothill to Rodman. And I asked Josh how long it would take. He said about a year. And they're going to be looking at road improvements. So once again, we have to impress upon them that these improvements can't just be for cars. They have to be improvements for people. And I feel like we're just chipping away a little bit on this topic, but I think that's what it's going to take, is like a drip, drip, drip of reminding them that we have to always consider all of the people involved, whether it's cyclists or pedestrians. And Jeff Bartel brought up a good point. Here we have people crossing the street. It's a busy street at that location. So I have to confess, I feel like we're kind of bouncing around a little bit. And I feel like we need to put together a plan that is that works on a local level, but fits inside of all the other plans. So we have the bigger plan, the Caltrans plan, and then you have the SLOCOG plan, regional transportation plan, and then you have, you know, the study that SLOCOG has funded, and then the county, what they're willing to do, which is actually very little without funding and direction. And And then we have our local plan. And so we have to figure out a way to create a plan that's going to fit in there with everything else. So I'm really open to suggestions about how to make that happen. Jim Hale.
So my understanding is that we have a Los Osos community plan, correct? And
We have a Los Osos community plan, but not a Los Osos community active transportation plan.
okay, good point. So, but our active transportation plan then would have to fit into the community plan, the Los Osos community plan, that then would be approved by the county, would it not?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
so
it would have to be approved by the planning department first, then it would have to be approved by the board of supervisors. But it could be an addendum. I mean, they said we couldn't do vacation rentals either, and we did that. So I think if we kind of go down that same road where we talk to Bruce Gibson, we figure every single person that's going to need to approve an addendum to the Los Osos community plan. Because it does, I mean, multiple pages in that plan do talk about active transportation. So if we can tie all of this together into a separate, concise plan that can then become an addendum and say that we can find funding from these sources if it could be approved by the board of supervisors. So I think we have like a strategic direction that we need to go. We need to go who's going to be responsible, who needs to do the approvals, and then who needs to help find the grants in order to pay for it. That's kind of how I see it.
yeah, great, Trish. And Trish is right. The Los Osos community plan, I mean, I have 9 places in the plan where it specifically calls out for active transportation, complete streets, pedestrian, cycling, pathways. So it's in there, but the plan isn't in there. And that's what we have to do. We have to create this plan. We have to get it to the county. We need to get it approved by the planning commission, by the planning department. And it's going to take some political muscle.
So I think that we need to start it then, because we do have Bruce Gibson right now. I don't know the other supervisors, but what he has said over and over is that every one of the 5 supervisors is responsible for every community. It's not that he's the only one. So we start with Bruce Gibson, we do some brainstorming with him. And then like we did with vacation rentals, we went to every single board of supervisor, met with them, explained exactly what we're going to do. Some of them listened, some of them kind of showed us the door, but at least we were able for them to understand that Los Osos has plans now. I mean, we are engaged. And so I think we need to do that with this too.
Well, that's right. I forgot about vacation rental. You've already gone through this once, haven't you, Trish?
Yes.
Let's do it again.
Okay.
Yes, Jeff, go ahead. I see your hands up, but I'm not hearing you. Oh, now you're muted. Now you're unmuted. We can't hear you. How about this one? It's almost like you're on here twice, Jeff. Okay. Well, keep trying because we'd very much like to hear what you have to say. So we're going to take these steps. We're going to go ahead and start creating this plan. And for me, I think one of the things that's important is that what is complete streets isn't necessarily going to work here in Los Osos. We're not going to be able to build out our streets in that way. One, because as we already know, we don't have the development, which will give us the money and the fees to create new developments and new streets to work off of. We have to use what's existing here. And so the existing streets aren't going to allow for that level of expansion.
Well, we don't have the size of streets. We don't have the size of streets that are out there. So not like a Tascadero and stuff that can do this. I'm sorry, it was David.
Yeah, exactly. Dave, you had another comment?
Well, what I was going to say was just that the study that Public Works is undertaking, that's for the build out. I mean, somehow we've got to make them know that we don't really care about the build out. We want to do something now. So that's the comment I had on that.
Mhm.
And as far as not doing anything with the existing streets, that's exactly what we need to do something with. We've got these 80-foot right-of-ways and we're not using them. So the wait, and I can tell you that waiting for a developer to do something and for the streets and the sidewalks and so forth that are going to be involved in that, at least what they told us on traffic and circulation for year after year, when Bev and I have been going to that, was the only place where they can put in a sidewalk or the only place where they can put in a road is to serve that particular development. So that's why we've got sidewalks like the one in front of the bank over there on Los Osos Valley Road. You go down and then it stops.
Yeah.
And then you go a little farther, you get to the other bank and it starts up again. That's because the development paid for what was immediately in front of the business, and that's all. It's really stupid.
Yeah.
Yes, closing the gaps has to be part of the plan. There's no question about it. Okay, Jeff, are you able to I see you're not muted. Can you come through? Can you talk? Apparently not. So Trish and I are going to start putting together a plan. We're going to get some input. And I would ask each one of you to send me an email with your input as far as elements that are important in the plan, filling in the gaps. Okay, we need to do that. And I think that's in the Los Osos community plan already. So we need to specify, okay, where are the gaps? Where do we need to fill in? And then we might be able to get the study, the corridor study, to incorporate some of these things into the study on the Los Osos Valley Road section, because I think that we've been putting enough pressure on them, certainly through SLOCOG, we've been putting pressure on the county to incorporate things for the community in this plan. So, so I think that now our job is going to be to specifically call out where the gaps are, where we want to have the bicycle trail. And it occurred to me, and I don't know if this makes any sense, but in that section, as you get near Doris on Los Osos Valley Road, where we have the homes that are too close to put a sidewalk on the north side. On the opposite side of Los Osos Valley Road is that really, really big bike path. Is everybody with me?
Yep.
Only no bike can ever go there because it's filled with parked cars.
Yep.
What if we took that away? Left a bike path, a little, the skinny one, took that extra space and put it on the other side and made a nice, generous bike path over there on the north side where we could really use it. Why not just move some lines around? Then we could actually get, I don't know how many feet that is, I should go measure it, but it would be a lot safer for people walking and biking if they had a nice, big, generous area. What do you think that is, Jeff Bartel? How many feet do you think that is?
I don't know, but I'll look at it.
8 feet, 10 feet? It's big
Yeah,
because cars
I
park
think
there all the time.
I think you're right.
So,
Can I jump in, Deborah, and ask
Sure.
if, I like your idea. My addition would be that we see if that could be a protected lane of some sort. So you can have pedestrians and cyclists on it. But you're right, that shoulder, if you will, on the south side always has cars in it.
so no bike can ever ride there. All bikes would have to go in and circulate in with traffic.
And that's what they
because
do.
Of all the parked cars. But if it was on the other side, and as you say, Jim, make it a class 4 path, which is a protected path, then we could complete our from Palisades to Doris pedestrian bike path. It could happen.
Okay, let's make sure we put that in the plan.
Okay. Let's see. Concerns that, so these are the things that on the agenda. What concerns need to receive immediate attention? What concerns need to be approved and funded? And what's the process for bringing up the concerns to the county? So the plan needs to address the immediate needs. We need to, take it to the county to SLOCAG actually to be funded. And then obviously we need to go to the Board of Supervisors with our concerns. That's where the work's going to be. And we're not going to be, having Josh Roberts or John Waddell, because they're not going to move forward until they get direction from the Board of Supervisors. Sure. And they don't have discretionary money, just to come and do these things on their own regardless. So we're going to have to, this is where the work's going to be. And hopefully we're not going to be without a supervisor for 2 years.
Well, it looks like it. So that's why I say it's going to be so important to get this going while we have a supervisor that can hopefully spearhead it.
Yes. All right. Any more comments?
No.
So I have one, Deborah.
Sure.
So with the issue of taking away that area where cars park,
Mhm.
we may need to figure out a potential solution that we can have in our back pocket when they say, well, what are those cars going to do when they come home at night? Where will they park?
That's their problem. That is a bike lane. They're not supposed to park there. They're not.
But they
And the only
will.
reason they do is because it's such a big bike lane.
Yeah.
Think about when you continue on Los Osos Valley Road on that south side, it doesn't stay like that. It becomes the skinny bike path. What do those people do? They park in the driveway.
I run around those cars all the time.
Yep. Bring up the CAO.
Oh, I was asking Trish, Deborah, have we as a committee or have you ever met with the CAO, County Administrative Officer?
Slow. I know
No.
I have not.
It might be, if we could boil this down to, a handful of points and get a meeting with, I don't even know who the CAO is, I should, but I don't. That might be a good place for us to have. That might be a good meeting. Get those points on and get some feedback from he or she on helping us with the direction to get some of this resolved, because that is it's like a city manager, but for the whole county. And
Yeah.
that is the person that really drives things and works directly with the Board of Supervisors. And because we don't really have that, we're in this period of flux. with Board of Supervisors, it might be, again, we'd have to really get a succinct message of what we want to do here. But I think that would be a really good meeting.
Great idea, actually, very good idea. Dave, you have a comment?
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of getting room for a bike lane near Doris, an off-the-wall suggestion is get rid of the left turn lane. Make those people who want to go up into Redfield Woods have to turn at blocks before they get to that corner.
I thought about that too. I did. I thought
That's
to make
That's
them,
actually an interesting idea, Dave.
yeah, I think the problem there at Doris is that you do have people turning right to go into the school. If it was just the left turn lane to go up the hill, I would be in total agreement with you, because that was the first thing I thought about, actually. And the reason I thought about that, Dave, is because what they want, what the county public works wants to do is add more left turn lanes on Los Osos Valley Road. And I have to ask why, because wherever you put a left turn lane, it just makes the traffic go faster. So, and that's what we don't want. We don't want the traffic to go faster. Jim?
So I just looked on the county website. Wade Horton is the county administrative officer. The assistant county administrative officer is Rebecca Campbell.
Yeah, now I know, I will tell you this. John D'Annunzio's boss at SLOCOG is Rich Murphy. I've had meetings with Rich Murphy about our active transportation. And he told me that they have been in touch with Wade Horton and gotten him involved with having the county be more engaged with SLOCOG. And so I might go actually to Rich and say, Rich, we would like to talk to Wade and see if I can get an appointment or a conversation with him or with Rebecca, because he might be able to, help usher us in there. But I think that's an excellent suggestion, Jeff. But we have to get our points first.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We have to get our bullet
The
points.
message has to be succinct.
Yeah. All right.
And
well,
the ask. What's our ask?
Right.
But we can do that.
We can and we will do that. So anything else that people feel is important to bring up at this time? And Jeff, if I know you're having trouble talking, can you get through? Oh,
Still on 2 phones.
It still shows 2 phones on our side.
now we have 3 phones. Oh, you're connecting. Yay. Oh, are you there?
That's so weird. Wonder why that's happening.
I don't know. I don't know why you can't talk. Okay. So Jeff, send me an email. And let me know what's on your mind. And then let's do some work back and forth before the next meeting. Oh, are you coming through? No, I don't think so. All right, well, if there's not anything else, then I think we can adjourn the meeting at 6:49.
We want to schedule another one, or did we already do that?
So our meetings are every third Tuesday of the month?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Third Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll keep that. And then next meeting, we will not invite Public Works, but the meeting after that, we will invite Public Works, and we'll invite planning as well to come, because I did ask them to come quarterly. And so by that time, we should have our bullet points.
Yep.
And maybe we've even done some, behind the scenes work with the county administrator and SLOCOG.
And maybe offsets.
Oh, yeah, this offset thing is, I need to find out more about that. So I'm gonna call Sean Cooper and I'm gonna ask him because we've had good conversations and if he doesn't know, then I'll figure out what to do next.
Sounds good.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for showing
right.
up
Thank you, Deborah.
and see you next month.